So this green stick, basically, of a plant in my hand right now is mistletoe. Now normally these would have some leaves, but this one doesn't really have any leaves. Probably lost them for the summer. But mistletoe is interesting because if you see it, it's green. So mistletoe itself is a green plant. If it's green, that means it has chlorophyll, it can photosynthesize, it can make food. But, very interesting, mistletoe is really common. You can find it throughout the world. There's multiple species, multiple groups of mistletoe. There's multiple species in California. And they will grow on bushes and trees. So, to my right, I've got a couple of trees with some mistletoe way high in the branches. But as they grow on those bushes and trees, there are we'll say two kinds of plants that will grow on other plants. There are the epiphytes. So epiphytic plants are plants that don't necessarily, and usually do not, derive any nutrients from the plant or structure they're growing on. So if you think of the tropical rainforest, where you have like beautiful orchids and bromeliads and these big, bushy, beautiful plants growing inside the trees, like on their crown, in the nooks of the trees, up in the canopy, those are epiphytes. So what they're doing is they're just sitting on the tree, and they aren't really deriving nutrients from the tree. They're just sitting there because that's a good place to grow when there's a lot of rain and a lot of nutrients in the air. They can just hang out there, grow, make a living that way. But mistletoes are a little different. So a mistletoe, rather than be an epiphyte, a true epiphyte where it just grows on another plant, doesn't derive any nutrients from it, mistletoes, even though they have chlorophyll and they can photosynthesize, they are parasites. So a mistletoe have these beautiful bright red berries that birds love to eat. They're not good for people. Don't eat a mistletoe berry. But birds love them. They're great nutrients for birds. Lots of birds depend on mistletoe berries for food. So they get these red berries, and then the bird eats them, flies to a new tree, and of course, as we all do, the bird has to poop. And then that little seed in that berry makes it through the bird into the poop, and it's already got some nutrients, right? The mother gave it nutrients, and then the poop has nutrients in it. So that sprouts, but rather than just grow roots and sprout up, as most plants would do, roots into the soil, up towards the sun, the mistletoe actually roots push into the tree, and it grows inside the tree. So it's stealing nutrients from that tree, stealing water, stealing nutrients, and it's living on top of the tree. It's basically, instead of growing in the ground, the tree becomes the ground for mistletoe. And then what happens, under normal circumstances, you want mistletoes in a forest. Mistletoes and these other plants that might be parasitic are a natural part of the forest. They provide food and shelter for wildlife. They can weed out some of the unhealthy plants. It's just a normal thing. But if you have drought stress, if you have other diseases in your population, you can have explosions where you can have a tree with hundreds and hundreds of mistletoe plants instead of one or two, and it would kill it. It's the same way that, you know, if your dog has fleas, one or two fleas is not going to kill your dog, and your dog can go a whole life with one or two fleas. But if you find a dog with just tons of fleas and ticks, it's going to have problems. It's going to have health problems. That could even kill it. Same idea. So mistletoes, most of them are native. They're natural. They do have some medicinal uses, but they have some toxins and stuff, so I would stay away unless you know exactly what you're doing. But they provide great food for birds, great habitat for lizards and insects and things. Just watch if you have trees, if you're managing some property. You know, one or two mistletoes in the tree, perfectly normal and fine. If you start to see multiple mistletoes where the entire tree is just covered, that could be a sign of health.